welcome back, you sleepy scroll sniffers and armchair archaeologists. Now, most people think history goes like this. Ancient Rome, something Dark Ages, then boom, knights, castles, plague masks, and Henry VIII. But what if I told you that in between? There was a 500-year chaos casserole called Late Antiquity, a time when Roman emperors went feral. Christian monks became desert influencers, and dead languages just wouldn't stay dead. It's the historical equivalent of your attic, cluttered, dusty, full of weird old stuff you forgot existed, and possibly cursed. So fluff your toga throw blanket and sip your questionable Byzantine wine. We're diving headfirst into the most underrated era in history. Enter Diocletian, our control freak hero. He looked at the flaming mess and said, "What if we just had 2 emperors?" And then thought, no, wait, 4, just to be safe. Thus the Tetrarchy was born. The empire was now divided into East and West, each with a senior and junior emperor. Think of it as a Roman group project. Except nobody read the instructions and everyone still wanted full credit. Then Diocletian retired voluntarily to grow cabbages. That's not a joke. He was the only emperor to quit and say, "Please don't call me. I'll be in the garden." Enter Diocletian, our control freak hero. He looked at the flaming mess and said, "What if we just had 2 emperors?" And then thought, no, wait, 4, just to be safe. Thus the Tetrarchy was born. The empire was now divided into East and West, each with a senior and junior emperor. Think of it as a Roman group project. Except nobody read the instructions, and everyone still wanted full credit. Then Diocletian retired voluntarily to grow cabbages. That's not a joke. He was the only emperor to quit and say, "Please don't call me, I'll be in the garden." Next up, Constantine. He sees a vision of a glowing cross in the sky before battle, wins, and thinks, maybe I should rebrand the empire. Now in Christian TM. He legalizes Christianity, builds a shiny new capital called Constantinople, and kicks off one of the strangest spiritual transformations in history. Temples become churches, priests become power brokers, and suddenly bishops are more important than senators. It's the first time religion becomes the official operating system of an empire. Patch notes include more fasting, fewer lions. While the cities argue about doctrine, the real spiritual action's happening in the deserts. Why? Because people are weird. Christian hermits start heading to the Egyptian wilderness to get closer to God by living in caves, surviving on beetles and faith granola. These are the first monks, and they're basically spiritual influencers, but with more sand and fewer hashtags. One guy, Simeon Stylites, sat on top of a pillar for 37 years. That's not metaphorically, that's gravity-defyingly. The Roman Empire thought it could keep the barbarians out forever. Turns out, not so much. By the 400s, Goths, Vandals, Franks and Huns are pouring in, some by invitation, others by axe. But it's not all looting and screaming. Many barbarians settle in, become Christian, and run former Roman provinces like Airbnb landlords. The result? A cultural smoothie, Latin with a German accent, churches built on top of Roman ruins, barbarian kings who wear Roman robes but call their swords Steve. In 410, Rome is sacked for the first time in 800 years. Alaric and his Goths march in, politely ransack the place, and leave. This breaks everyone's brain. St. Jerome, watching from Bethlehem, says, "If Rome can fall, what's even the point?" Rome didn't completely disappear. It just retired early, like Diocletian, with trauma. In the East, meanwhile, Byzantium, aka the Eastern Roman Empire, is thriving under Justinian, the emperor who did everything. He tried to reconquer the West, wrote all the laws down in one place, built the Hagia Sophia, and, accidentally, helped spread the plague that killed half his people. Still, he gets credit for being one of the last emperors who genuinely tried to save the Roman dream with a spreadsheet and some very sparkly mosaics. Long before the Black Death, there was the plague of Justinian in the 540s, brought in by grain shipments and rat uber. It wiped out 25 to 50 million people. Constantinople looked like the set of a very depressing musical. But Byzantium survived, barely, because if there's one thing Eastern Romans knew how to do, it was suffer dramatically. In the 600s, something world-changing happens in Arabia. The Prophet Muhammad receives revelations that form Islam. Within 100 years, the new Islamic empire stretches from Spain to India. Old Roman and Persian lands are now under caliphate rule, and instead of collapse, they spark a golden age of science, trade, and extremely philosophical arguments over algebra. As empires crumble, monks, scribes, and scholars begin to hoard knowledge like it's toilet paper in 2020. In Ireland, illuminated manuscripts. In Syria, Greek texts are translated into Arabic. In Baghdad, a house of wisdom full of nerds inventing algebra and arguing about Aristotle. Civilization isn't collapsing. It's mutating, like a phoenix in a bathrobe, rising from a pile of half-burned scrolls. By 750, what we think of as medieval Europe is starting to take shape. The Franks under Charlemagne, the Lombards in Italy, the Visigoths in Spain. But all of it sits on a weird Roman foundation. Late Antiquity wasn't a fall. It was a slow, weird metamorphosis, like a very anxious caterpillar becoming a confused butterfly that just read the Bible and thinks it's Caesar. So next time someone says Rome fell and the Dark Ages began, pour your tea, pat your Byzantine throw pillow, and gently whisper, "Sweetheart, it's more complicated than that." Because late antiquity was not a gap. It was the remix, the reboot, the cursed sequel that accidentally invented modern Europe. Until next time, keep your scrolls cozy, your pillars structurally questionable, and your cabbages well watered.